Buddy, welcome to another episode of Cracking Cases, where today we're going to talk about Jack Kevorkian, otherwise known as Dr. Death.
Yeah!
Yeah! He was an ethicist who was ahead of his time, I think, but also pretty scary in other ways.
Born in Michigan.
Michiganders.
The whole
yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
Michigan is a weird place. It breeds weird people. My two eldest kids were born there. I love them to death. And we left before it could really sink its teeth into them.
That's good, yeah. Okay.
For the better.
Oh, I've got a cousin that was born and raised in Michigan, and he is
Is he super,
nice, but
is he super weird?
it's a very different upbringing than I had. It's just a different personality. Regional personalities are a thing, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
The attitudes, the mindsets, it's all a thing.
Yes. I agree.
So, yeah, and I remember when Jack Kevorkian was all the rage on TV and everything else, and I remember him being in political comics, like, made to look very ghoulish, you know? Like, they'd make him look like the Crypt Keeper in these comics, and, like, and then call him Dr. Death in the news and stuff. And I remember being very spooked out by him. But then, fast forward, and when I was in college in Washington State, I actually distributed a petition for the Death with Dignity Act in Washington, which it did eventually pass, and it basically granted the rights of people to use assisted suicide. Let's see if I can figure out how to raise this thing. There we go. So I'm kind of a sympathizer on some level with Dr. Kevorkian, for sure. I think it's a thing that basically should happen. You know, people should have some control over their demise. It's the ultimate freedom and all that. I think an argument could be made too in the same sort of same vein as with abortions, is that people are gonna commit suicide, and it'd be best if they could do so, you know, safely without endangering other humans.
And yeah, I think, and so we were talking about a lot of this earlier, and to start off, I guess we'll provide a little bit of background on just how Kevorkian even got started, which was out the back of his van, literally.
Yeah.
He bought the parts.
The death van.
For his, he bought the parts for his equipment. The original plan was, injections from a flea market. And put this whole kit together himself. And, that's when he was doing injections, and then he decided to move on to carbon monoxide, and he'd buy carbon monoxide canisters, and he still insisted that the person themselves, take the final step.
Right, that was his loophole, is that they had to press a button for his death machine to work, so that it wasn't him doing it.
Yeah, they had to press the button, they had to release the clamp, whatever.
That is a pretty decent argument.
It is. I mean, it is. And indeed, the only reason he went to jail is because he decided to not do that anymore and to physically inject a dude live on TV
and to force their hand.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, he was like, go ahead and jail me. And I saw the video of him when he was sentenced, and he seemed pretty pleased about it. But I guess jail wasn't all fun and games, because he did end up changing his tune because of spending some time in jail.
Well, and what was it that I read, that one of his only regrets was not actually going through sort of the proper channels to get this change made, not going through legislation and everything. And one of the arguments that I saw sort of against him was that, this one woman was talking about him and saying she wasn't really sure where the impetus for what he was doing lay. He kind of came off as he was doing this more for himself
Yeah, he was
than
kind of
for
a
the
showman,
good.
you know, like I was saying, he was depicted in the media as this sort of like ghoulish, sinister person, but in real life, he was very much just flashy. Like he wore these smart little suits, and he had lots to say anytime somebody would put a microphone up to his face. You know,
Right.
he was definitely full of energy and vim and vigor. For sure. Definitely not a skeletal, scary figure as depicted, but
Right.
and yeah, for those wondering, like, spoiler alert, he does not die of assisted suicide. He ended up just dying of natural causes once he got out of jail.
After he
Yeah.
got out.
Yep.
Yeah, after he got out of jail. And it was funny when he was doing so that the whole famous 60 Minutes interview, because the tape that he took of the one person that he actually gave the injection to himself, he sent it straight to 60 Minutes, and they do this interview with him, and I just blanked out on what I was going to say about about it. So and the whole idea of him, you know, he said this will make them, you know, force his hand, make them, you know, put me in jail or walk away. And he said at that interview that he was going to like starve himself as soon as he goes to jail
Yeah.
as a form of protest. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
And he was there for 8 years. Yeah, he's kind of a weird guy.
Oh yeah, Wheelie for Aces says he's seen his van when he visited Las Vegas. Yeah, his van got sold to like a paranormal investigator, and I guess now it's a tourist attraction.
Oh my god. Oh yes. No, it's at Zach Bagan's place.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
that's the guy. That's the guy from like the documentary thing, Ghost Adventures. So
I've been
yeah,
wanting to go.
Everything is a tourist
you
attraction.
should totally go. Like I didn't realize it was in Las Vegas. Yeah, that's great. That's
Done.
fantastic.
Absolutely. Once I am mobile again after surgery, I will go. I will get like all the good, you know, the good digs on like the Manson stuff there and the Kevorkian van and everything.
Awesome. The Kevorkian van. Kevin, get in this game. Gotta.
Yeah, I'm loading it up right now. It took me a second to realize what I was doing.
Fair enough. No, but yeah, just get in the poker table. We need you here. We need your
Alright,
action. Action, Kevin. But yeah,
Tony's beating everybody.
Only for now.
crushing us, crushing.
But yeah, Wheelie, definitely gonna go to that museum.
Yes.
Yeah, we live here, so we'll be making our way over there. I'm insisting on this one.
Speaking of where you live, so what are the death with dignity type rights in Nevada? Like, if you developed some
don't-
horrific illness.
I don't know that we have any.
I was gonna say, I don't think California does.
Let me double check.
That kind of surprises me that California wouldn't.
I know. Maybe we do. It was talked about a few years ago. I don't think it ever passed though.
Yeah, yeah. I think the first state that it passed in was Oregon, and there was
Thanks,
actually
Wheelie.
like a landmark case there with this girl who was, I think, Brittany Maynard, and she had a brain tumor, and she was like in her 20s, and she moved to Oregon from California when they first did their death with dignity thing, and then she did die in her own plans in Oregon, and she made like this big PSA that you can find everywhere where she's saying that is what she wanted. And I think that seeing her case made some other states take after her, because that's when I was saying before the show, I actually collected signatures for the Death with Dignity Act in Washington when I lived there, because I thought it was a good idea. At the time, I think my dad had stage 4 prostate cancer, and he had always intended, spoiler alert, he didn't get to. He got surprised at the end, which is actually kind of good. But he wanted to go to Amsterdam or something to get it done. because that was one place where it was legal at the time. And he was like, yeah, if things get really bad, that's how I want to go. And I was like, sure, let me know. I want to be there by your side. So I felt a lot of support towards it.
So yeah, in Nevada, deliberate mercy killings are illegal under the law. However, doctors are permitted in some cases to withhold or withdraw life-sustaining measures.
See, that sucks. People have to, like, starve themselves. I saw some of those people in videos when I was researching this. And, yeah, people will actually choose to not eat and starve to death because that's their only option. And that sucks, I think. I think there should be medical assistance. Yeah, Wheelie for Aces says, so glad we do here in Canada. And we certainly do, although it differs between provinces. I was talking before the show, one thing that I think has big public administration problems with the Death with Dignity style acts is that in Ontario, they haven't been raising the disability to keep up with the cost of living. Meanwhile, they've been removing barriers to assisted suicide for disabled people. And there's a lot of people in the disabled community saying, hey, this is political genocide, right? You're taking away our options to live healthy lives. And then you're saying, hey, this assisted suicide thing is really easy to access, unlike your groceries. So yeah, it's pretty messed up, and that's definitely something to keep in mind as we change laws.
I've heard a lot of talk about that in terms of housing from disabled Canadians, like,
yeah,
you won't give us housing, but you'll give us the right to die. Well, yes, there have been a few cases of people choosing medically assisted suicide over dealing with the benefit system. I would find it really hard for anybody to believe that anybody actually had some sort of ghoulish intent.
Yeah.
Not to say it doesn't have it. I just don't think that would ever be anyone's intent. So
right.
A lot of that conversation strikes me as probably a little bit overblown.
Yeah.
But
and it's true. Yeah, I don't think anyone had any ghoulish intent either. Except maybe Kevorkian, because honestly, he was also interested in, like, harvesting organs and stuff like that. And his...
Yeah, what was the name of, like, the facilities he wanted to create? What is it called? Medicide facilities.
Yeah.
So where people could go...
You get in your suicide booth and
service.
Boom, out come your kidneys. Yeah.
Yeah, and then do ethical tests during the suicide process, and then take the organs afterwards, and he's presenting it like, well, this will be seamless, it'd be great.
Yeah, he was also a proponent of taking organs from prisoners who are, put to death. Like, why not scoop those organs out and not put them to waste?
Right?
Yeah.
So that is a little ghoulish, and at times he even said that his whole passion for assisted suicide was more of like a means to an end with regards to prolonging lives with transplants.
Which, I mean, to be fair, that is maybe a little bit of a stomach-churning ethical question, but a valid question. Like,
definitely, I'm going to need a kidney one day because I was born with a kidney disease. My mom got a transplant in 2010, and so I know that access to transplanted organs is really rough. Like, people can stay on the waiting list for a decade and die while on the waiting list, Oh,
yeah.
So those cadaver organs, they don't last as long as, say, organs that are harvested more freshly, right? Like from a living donor. And so having this sort of, I don't know why my brain wanted to say farm to table, like having this farm to table.
Right? Absolutely works.
Anyway, it definitely would do well for people like me who are gonna need a kidney one day. I'm kind of like, maybe.
Fair enough. But yeah, so part of the question, and I know that he said eventually, I wish I had gone through and done it through proper channels.
Yeah.
But, how much did his sort of weird showmanship detract from what he was trying to do?
I mean, a lot. I mean, if he hadn't decided to, like, inject somebody on TV, he probably would have had another decade worth of advocacy work he could have done, like, in a sane way. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Some questionable decisions for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little bit.
I'm sure
But yes.
he turned a lot of people off.
Yeah, I think, the idea was to open up the dialogue, and it's like, dude, you're just going about it the entirely wrong way. Nobody...
Well,
this is gruesome.
Yeah.
I mean, and people don't want to see how the sausage is made. And I think that was just...
We've got all the best metaphors today.
Right, absolutely. Why not add a few more?
You guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say something about Kevorkian taking the organs and shipping them to Dahmer as like the first butcher box, but I'm not.
monthly box. Yeah.
That's a bit too morbid for this
A
show.
little bit.
What am I saying?
I'll go there.
Right. I want to call. What are you doing?
Everybody wild
You
tonight.
guys suck.
You want to go? You want to go?
I do not want to go. Wow.
Alright,
Just going for the jugular.
before I do this,
Now watch. This will be a hand that Tony would have won.
okay,
All right, I'll call your king.
I'm
What?
watching.
Oh man!
four,
Oh
four,
no! No! Oh my god!
Oh my god!
You would have won that, didn't you? You had,
No, I had
8-9,
9-8.
I see.
Oh, that's
Funny.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
that's why I said pylons when I called, because there's no way that they call up.
Oh, that was awesome.
Oh my goodness. All right, back to death.
Back to death.
Right.
So,
I did die.
yes. So,
Our stacks certainly did.
in Canada right now, medical access to dying is what they call it, and it's available, but not for people with mental illness as the sole criteria yet, because in 2023 they're going to make it allowable for people with just suffering from mental illness to access medical assistance in dying. And that's very controversial, and definitely not something that people in other regions might understand. But I think it's an important ethical point to wrestle with, because if we're going to say that mental illness is a valid disability and causes suffering that is real, then why cannot those people be in charge of their dying?
Well, and what was it? The other thing that I think also makes this even more problematic is that they've also, they're going to move the age where it was mature minors. So children under the age of 18 would be able to make this decision for themselves as well. And so I'm gonna do a deep dig a little bit and share a little bit of my background. So I lost my youngest son to suicide, and he was 13.
Wow.
And this is where that mental health piece comes in. Like, I really struggle with the thought, because of course I've got sort of mental health things that go on soon now, and I think we talked, where you talk to your therapist and they have this list of where if you share, okay, I'm having a moment where I do have some suicidal ideation, they've got to go through the list of, do you feel like you're a harm to yourself right now? Mm-hmm. Where are you on a level? Do we need to call somebody? Because then the whole idea of privacy kind of goes out a little bit because their safety comes first.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's where my struggle comes in with the idea of, your family members aren't involved in the conversation, your loved ones aren't involved, and you're in a hospital. There was a case of one guy in Canada who was there under a suicide watch, and he had health things going on as well, but his family was not informed, and a nurse practitioner said, hey, you want to think about this? And he said, oh yeah, let's do it. And his family didn't even know until after the fact.
Wow.
But he was there for suicide watch.
Wow.
5 days later, he's dead. And it's like, that's where adding that mental health piece, I really am sort of dodgy about, where I feel like more fail-safes, not less.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very odd because I guess my quibble would be what is considered a what type of mental health issue is considered qualifying.
Right. It would
Absolutely.
still have to qualify under the other part of the act, which is that they, let's see. I better call this first. Let's see, death not reasonably foreseeable. It has to be that your illness is advanced and irreversible. It's let's see, disease or it cannot be relieved under conditions that you consider acceptable. That leaves a lot of leeway, though.
Yeah. I mean, the language in this thing kills me.
Yeah. Yeah, they have, you must meet all of the following criteria. So in this case, it says you must be at least 18 years old and mentally competent. That means making healthcare decisions for yourself. Give informed consent. And, I think that they just have things like your disease has to be advanced and have no chance of getting better.
With mental health conditions, how do you exactly even define for a lot of them advanced?
Right?
Yeah, I think an important point to make is that no mental illness is really curable,
No.
Like, I mean, you could argue that certain forms of trauma and some forms of, PTSD have been treatable in the past to the point where somebody regains function. But nobody just gets, cured of depression or schizophrenia, It's like something you gotta manage for a lifetime.
Right. And yeah, you just said it. It's manageable. Not curable. Manageable.
It says grievous and irremediable medical condition. So be an advanced state of decline that cannot be reversed. Experience unbearable physical or mental suffering from your illness, disease, disability, or state of decline that cannot be relieved under conditions that you feel acceptable.
Yeah, see, and again, once you throw that mental health thing into the mix, with all the medical stuff going on Tuesday, for a moment, it was unmanageable. It was unbearable. And then, you get a chance and things are okay again. Now, we were talking before the show, here about some other, there are other countries that also provide this, but they have just such a strict, not set of criteria so much as a strict set of, here's how we're going to do this, from point A to Z. Belgium is the first one that comes to mind, where they have, 2 doctors have to sign off on it.
Mm-hmm.
They have an oversight committee that looks at the cases monthly and make sure there are no troubling trends or anything like that. I mean, they're really strict about the system. Their doctors are not allowed to be these sort of instigators. They're not the ones to present it to the patients. The patients come to them, say, I know this is an option and I want to explore it. But the doctors, the nurses, none of them can actually bring it up. And I think all those things, it makes sense to me.
So what I'm reading about the mature minor doctrine is in Canada is that the minor still can't make the decisions without additional consent from the parent or substitute decision maker, which I think is a really important point that you have to make. Like the children's brains are still developing. I understand the mature minor doctrine existing with the parental consent piece because there's so many children who may have, brain tumors or other things where there's no possible way they're getting better. And it sucks that you have to remove their feeding tube and make them starve to death, to eliminate suffering. So I think it's still important that minors have access to these and that their own will is kind of considered in this. But yeah, you make a really good point that they definitely, it shouldn't be like your teenager getting birth control, without parental consent. Like,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I don't like all this red on the board.
It's wild here.
I liked it, and then you guys made me panic.
Last time we had the same exact hand. Let's see what happens here.
Ooh. I mean, you've got it covered.
I get lucky.
Oh, it's a 2 pair. Nice hand.
Nice.
It's interesting because they say I forget you just read off the criteria, so it must be basically incurable.
Yeah.
And fake aces, guys, fake aces. So I'm wondering, like, let's see, I'm gonna need help for the rest of my life as a result of cerebral palsy. It has led to several notable mental conditions. It's considered a severe physical disability and cannot at this point be cured. Like, do I qualify because I'm in a wheelchair, even though, like, that doesn't really seem like a qualified illness to me, but I suppose under current law I would qualify.
I think you would under Canadian law. Yeah, you would qualify for access to those services. So ultimately, it is opening things up for people to make their own choice about for good or for ill. And the safeguards that are being put in place are mostly around the concept that they might be feeling external pressure, like pressure from family members, like, well, you sure are an extra mouth to feed. Have you checked out this assistance in dying thing all the kids are talking about?
Yeah. Apparently, Canadian society is already telling them that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's what the disabled people in Ontario are squawking about, because they're like, hey, look, why are our resources for living going down and our resources for dying going up? Like, that's sending a message. Why can't we work on other things? And they've got a good point there. Like, we need to work more to support the people that are alive and wanting to live.
I could make a very cold and mathematical approach to that, but I mean that would totally deny humanity.
Yeah.
Like if I was just a robot, I could, but that's denying the human diversity aspect.
Yeah.
For sure.
And yeah, it is kind of like a weird trolley problem, robot problem. Like, how would a robot handle this?
You got an 8, don't you?
No, I had a 4.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I am running so hot today.
I could make a joke there, but I won't.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I think that, we have to sort of ask the ethical question that's there, where should we place limits on people's desire to die? And is it something that we really can limit, given that people are going to commit suicide anyway, one way or another?
Yeah.
I think that, when people are in crisis, there's suicide watch. There's all those things that are supposed to work, right? But, for somebody who has a chronic suicidal ideation, for one reason or another, there's no way to necessarily eliminate it for them for life.
I mean, it's odd because part of me says, listen, this is horrible, but the other part of me would argue, who are we, or who is society in general, generally speaking, to decide, to make the decision on behalf of someone that they can't choose death?
Yeah.
Right.
As morbid as that sounds, so long as they are an adult, I mean, they could theoretically choose it anyway.
Yeah.
So, if they want to do it medically and peacefully,
Yeah.
so long as they're an adult, and there are safeguards in place to make sure that they are pressured into the decision, whether they're healthy or not. And as ugly as this would sound to most, I kind of feel like it's their choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I find that myself thinking along those lines too. I mean, there's a lot of really sad medical truths. I mean, everybody remembers that whole Terry Schiavo case that came around, right?
Yeah.
So background for anybody in chat who might not remember. So Terry Schiavo was a woman who was an adult woman, and she had bulimia. She ended up falling into a coma, and she wasn't going to wake up. She was going to be a vegetable, right? And her parents wanted her to continue living, and they argued that she did have interactions with them, and they felt like that connection was there, and that she had a humanity. And her husband wanted to get remarried, and she was obviously a big financial burden on him as well. So, but he had no such legal barriers when he was signing the paperwork and saying, I'm done with her. She is a burden, essentially, and it didn't matter. But it's funny that there's more safeguards in place and there's more drama around when it's somebody's own choice,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas right now, and for the most of humanity, it's been the choice of others, that are caregiving.
Right. I think my only thing would be, that the whole sort of caveat thing, because I do believe in a personal choice, if a circumstance comes up, I want to have control over how it's managed even to that point.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think just as part of the whole process, making sure that people have, it's mandatory, the mental care in place.
Yeah.
To just help them reason through it. And at the end of that, you get counseling. I think, therapy should be a part of palliative care. I think it should be a part of, cancer. You get a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Here's your ticket to the therapist to just talk some of this out, because it's big and heavy.
Definitely.
So that's kind of where I am. It should be just a part of the whole service. Okay, you want this, you're committed to this idea. Let's just walk through it.
Yeah.
Got Ace 8.
I think it's going to force the conversations. I think it might actually help mental health care in the long run, because it's going to force those important conversations of, has this person accessed enough treatment to know whether the treatment would help? It's I think about it like in the future timeline where it's treated similar to bariatric surgery for weight loss, you know, like have we verified that this person has yo-yo dieted enough that we can really go forward with this? And I think that's going to be an important conversation in mental health. You know, has this person explored all of the treatments that should be available to this person? And if not, then why not? You know, we need to work on that piece so much more.
Wow.
Oh, all the trees.
What are you guys gonna do? Huh?
You got
You mean
something
my pocket
higher than
threes are
an
no good?
8. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have
Hang. Oh,
Split
I
it.
thought I didn't add on. I only had a little bit left.
that hand was redonkulous.
I thought I was going all in for a full
no.
stack, and I didn't
Yeah. I
have
say he should have gotten that with the ace, right?
No, he got king. He had king, not ace.
I thought he had ace king.
No,
You're wearing your glasses.
4.
Oh, it was a 4.
Yeah.
I just kind of glanced over. I know I am wearing my glasses.
Do you need to
too.
polish them?
Maybe, probably.
I'm going to take a washroom break. I'll be right back.
Great.
Alright.
We'll play cards in the meantime. Be brutal.
Right. And actually, and then when Doc gets back out, I definitely want to talk about the whole United or universal health care thing.
Oh, right.
If they can't get care in Canada, we're never going to get it here in the U.S.
Is that?
Yeah.
Wow, what is up with these boards? And
I'm
3
gonna
8s
check
on
that
this
bad
one.
boy.
I don't have it.
I don't think anybody has it.
I needed a 10. I'm folding.
You know what? I'll call you just to see what you got.
I thought I went all in. I guess I didn't go all in. I still had one left.
No, you left yourself a penny.
I didn't mean to, but
It's okay.
I would have canceled my add-on because I would now have been over the maximum.
Oh yeah.
So, with all of our opinions on this, probably none of us agree that he should have necessarily gone to jail for what he went to jail for, Jack Kevorkian.
I would say no.
That would be nope. Like, he definitely was helping exactly the kind of person that we think needs help.
I mean, they convict him of second-degree murder. Yeah, when you examine the tape, when you examine or bring the family into it,
Yeah.
they were on board with it.
I feel sorry for the family couldn't be in the room with him because he didn't want them to be charged as like accomplices or something.
Right. Oh yeah.
So heartbreaking, but yeah. They obviously all were very much.
I'm going to the bathroom. We'll be right back.
Yeah,
Okay.
they obviously were all wanting to further the whole concept.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
In there was was it Dragnet? There was a Dragnet episode about this.
Yeah, it was Adam 12 where
Oh, it was
an older
Adam
guy
12.
comes in and says, "Yeah, I just killed my wife, and here's the apartment key," because she was suffering and she wanted to die. So,
He loved her.
Yeah.
And it's one of those like it was an interesting, them going there in a show that was, when did that air? 60.
That would have been late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, so for them to even talk about it at that point was actually kind of striking to him. Oh my god!
Boo.
Yeah, geez,
What the
he's
heck?
bored.
I hate it.
I'm a check.
Yeah, it's like it's
I'm a
dry.
There-
Pot-sized
there's my
bet.
foul.
Sure. I'm a check again.
Whoa!
Nah. Yeah.
Aw, we would have split it with the boat.
Oh, sorry, my brain's a little fried from earlier. I mean, that was a good 4.5 hours.
Nice. Well, what was the prize? What was the prize up top?
I think I ended up making $83 on that one, so I'll take it, I guess.
Sure. You're hourly. Oh.
Right.
That
Oh.
might be my hourly.
Yeah.
I think it is. Wow.
Oh, another fun fact about Kevorkian, though, he was a jazz musician and composer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes,
huh.
it's true. And so he even put out like an album called The Kevorkian Suite: A Very Still Life,
Wow.
which I think was very funny.
See, this is where I kind of have the issue with him. Like, dude, really?
I listened to it. Yeah, I listened to some of it, and like it was not bad.
Wow. I do know that he left his mortal coil listening to Bach.
Oh,
That's like the one thing.
that's interesting. You know, there's actually like a whole musical field of like music to play for the dying called thanatology, and it has like harp music, which I don't know. I like the idea of having like musicians there at the deaths, but I don't want harp music playing. I want them to like drum me out, man. You know, drum me out of here.
Just a powerful, like,
Just
let's go.
Drums, yeah, no, that'd be awesome. Like have like this massive drum circle. Yeah.
Well, it's very sort of Soylent Green. I don't know if either of you have watched that, but there's
Not
this
in a
whole-
long time.
I mean, so spoiler for anybody out there, but you know the guy of reaching you reach the end of your life, you go into this chamber where you lay back in this chair. This big screen is in front of you, showing you just all these beautiful things, and the music's playing, and it just sends you off to death in this just wonderfully flowy, beautiful like way for you to turn into food, but.
Kevorkian would have been 100% behind it. He'd be like,
Right?
"Yay, we're not wasting." Especially if he could like turn you into food and transplant organs.
Oh, you have the 9. Nice.
Woo!
I had the 6 and the 9.
Nice.
The full house. I
Yeah.
thought
Oh,
you had
yeah.
clubs.
Another boat, just
Wow.
shaking him around.
Now I'm just playing loose.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at you.
But yeah, what I was gonna say when you took your break, Doc, was just if the health care and people are just wanting to oust themselves, even having the universal health care, we're screwed here in the U.S. We're not gonna have it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
If-
happy.
if Canada
Yeah.
can't manage it.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with my healthcare system, and I think that medical assistance in dying should be a part of a healthy healthcare system. But yeah, definitely, I think it would be even more problematic in the U.S. because that whole like
Oh yeah.
the pressure, the external pressures. Well, I'd say finances are a big external pressure. Capitalism is a big external pressure. And
Not only that, but don't forget, we can't make our own decisions for ourselves. That's the silly talk.
Hmm.
We're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah, we're pro life and life and death.
yeah.
You're gonna stick around for as long as possible, whether you like it or not.
Well, I mean, like it's what's really interesting is that most doctors have a do not resuscitate order for themselves when they reach older age because they've seen how this duty to provide care can end up with like a really rough way out of life, like if you're nearing end of life, like you want to be at home like surrounded by your loved ones. You don't want like a bunch of EMTs pumping on your chest and screaming, like
That much is true.
so man, I have this like crazy story of my ex grandma-in-law, I guess, my ex-husband's grandma. She had a DNI. She had a do not resuscitate order, and then her family disobeyed that and had them revive her anyway. And it was the most awkward Christmas ever. She was there,
do that?
and she did not want to be there.
Right.
She was. Yes, you can do that. Your kin have to be in agreement with it. At least
my
in a lot of
God.
areas. When I was living in Washington State.
Oh, so this was in the U.S.
Yeah, this was in the U.S. and like.
Oh.
Yeah, this was in Oregon, because my ex's family is from Oregon, and yeah, she was mad as hell that she was still alive. It was super awkward and weird, but yeah, it's definitely a thing that your next of kin can make those decisions, which has a lot of ramifications for a lot of different things.
I would be so pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. I was, when I was in Washington State, I was a volunteer hospital chaplain. So I was there with people when they were dying and stuff, and I saw a lot of like weird legal circumstances where next of kin had just way too much decision making unless somebody had created, affirmative orders for someone else to make those healthcare decisions. So really important to get that paperwork in order, guys. Just make sure you do that. Because, you don't want you don't want like a weird estranged like aunt from Timbuktu to come out of nowhere and be making those decisions.
Right.
So
Yeah.
file this under, the things that I forgot to ask about when I was having my pre-op appointment on Friday.
Yeah. It's nice.
That's right. I'll be there. I know what you want.
You got me. You got my back.
Right.
Brilliant. Yeah, I was glad that I had done all that paperwork before I got cancer, because then I just had to carry it in and like get it scanned into the system, and I didn't have to make any of those scary decisions.
Yeah.
Right.
With death looking more close than ever.
I mean, yeah, that was the tough thing. So, when my dad, he went into the hospital with some vague illness. We had no idea still really what happened, but he ended up in ICU and everything. And he had a DNR and all that. But they never had the discussion of, well, what do you want to have happen afterward?
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. And we did, as a family, have to make the decision to, let him go.
Yeah.
And then we had to make the decision on, well, what do we do now that you're gone?
Yeah.
And it's just, man, the more you can have kind of written out or have the conversations, the better. Because, we're sitting there like, I think you'd like this. Sure.
I'm gonna like have such a weird time when my mom dies, because like she's so strange. Like, first of all, she won't have, I know that she has tons of paperwork in order that I haven't seen yet, but she's told me, like, whenever I try and have like a frank conversation, like, what do you want done with your body after you die, Mom? She always like is just like resorts to some weird joke like, oh, I'm not gonna leave a body, I'm just going to step over to the other side. I'm like, okay, Mom. And then she told me one day, so you know that wills used to have like conditions to get inheritance. Would it be okay with you if I had a condition that you had to do something before getting your inheritance? And I'm like, sure, Mom, whatever. It's not like my family's rich, by the way. The inheritance is going to be like nothing. But she's like, okay, how would you feel about spending the night in a haunted castle? And I'm like, okay. So now I know that when my mom dies, I got to spend a night in a haunted castle.
So she's channeling her inner, oh my God, Vincent Price is what she's doing.
Yeah.
She just wants one more night.
Right? And so yeah. Yeah, don't know what to do with her body. No, I'm going to be sleeping in a haunted castle.
No, I just got
Awesome.
a weird thing. My mother could be really mean to me.
Oh no!
My inheritance, walking a mile.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, burn. See, that's where you just tell her that you're gonna put her in the old folks' home with the meanest pet. No cat or anything, like an alligator.
Right.
An owl.
Right. Done.
Yeah, really angry
Parakeet
eagle.
that won't shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Just out of reach.
Slightly different vein, but a sort of vein akin, if you will. I am very stoked that Canada recently changed their medical admission requirements for immigration.
Yay!
Okay.
So you can get in. I remember you were saying your power wheelchair is like expensive or whatever, and they might like be mad about it.
But they raised the cap enough beyond what it used to be that there was a very good chance I could squeeze my way in.
Nice.
I still don't meet the point system criteria, so I need a graduate degree first. But that's actually an achievable goal.
It's true. Yeah. How much is your fancy expensive wheelchair?
This one cost about 47 or 50,000 US plus repairs, but the cap now for insurance for your medical need is 124,000 over 5 years, I believe. So, because that is really my only out of line medical expense, I would probably still qualify.
Nice. Man, that's expensive. How long do those things last?
Generally it's about 5 years, sometimes more. But
Wow.
The plan is 5 years.
Wow. That's crazy. So every 5 years you gotta come up with like 50 grand?
No, luckily I have decent insurance.
Oh, good.
I had. Now that my mother's on Medicare, I only have Medi-Cal, which is gonna make getting a new chair, which I'm technically eligible for in a few months, a little bit more difficult. But because Medi-Cal often doesn't like to cover the standing chair that I need. But lucky for me, I have a degree, so I've joked that if I need better insurance, I'll just go get a job with the city or the county for like 6 months.
Seriously.
Great
Noise.
insurance to kick in, because I'm fortunate I don't really need a lot of money. My only reason to work on because I want to and for better health insurance.
Yeah.
So
Fair.
I would get a job, wait a few months, let the insurance benefits kick in, and then I could get a new chair.
Nice. Yeah, sounds good.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, do what you
Absolutely.
gotta, for sure. That sounds like, yeah, pain.
Except for maybe raising me.
Yeah.
So you already know I have nothing, so whatever.
Do I know that? See, because there you go.
Right?
Go ahead. I know you want to.
I'll say 10-8. He's going for the straight draw.
Man. You know what?
I'll show you anyway.
Whatever.
Damn it,
Let's
you-
roll. Wow. Okay.
I had nothing. I just didn't care.
But look, you had me covered, so you still have 19 cents. You're good.
Right.
All right. So what case do you think we should do next for next week? Anybody have any good ideas?
I don't have ideas, but I'm in for anything.
Let's see.
Anybody morbidly curious about murder?
Right.
All of
I mean,
us are. That's why we're
Gacy's always a good one.
Ooh,
Is a
Gacy.
good one.
Gacy.
Or we can talk about Ed Gein and how it actually didn't happen in Texas. Spoiler alert.
What?
No, Ed Gein happened in rural Wisconsin.
Yep.
Wisconsin, absolutely.
Yep.
It was not Texas, but so that could be one we need to talk about.
Okay, so
yeah, 'cause
Geen.
then we're-
Are
Yeah.
there people that really think that happened in Texas?
Well, because they just all they know is that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is related to his story, and then it just goes from there. And you're just like, no. That was just a inspiration. That's it.
Oh, I got
What
you.
happened in rural Wisconsin?
Huh.
I just thought everyone knew that. I guess I'm just too much of a nerd.
Murder nerd.
You and I just listen to those kinds of podcasts.
Yeah.
We just pick up all this information, not common knowledge.
I'll see if I can. I'll see if I can pick up a nipple belt off of Amazon for next week.
Nipple
Done.
belt. Yeah, maybe they'll have that as a Snapchat filter. I'll look into it.
Oh. I feel so wrong now.
Published that one.
But yeah, that one would definitely be an interesting one.
It would.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Emulepu. Wishing us luck. Thank you. Man, I'm
Yay.
running so hot when we're just playing for play money. If only I could run this hot when I'm trying to shoot to a different stake.
Alright, now I'll make the joke I can't resist. You may be running hot, but you're only running half as hard as you look.
Aw, thank you.
Aw.
Man, he's got such smooth game.
I couldn't
I hate
resist the
this
joke.
re-raise.
They all say it's just a joke. Don't do that.
Oh, I was serious in her case, but you know, I'm a coy, awkward nerd, so I don't say those things.
Wow,
But
we
you've
have
got
someone
got
from
cerebral
Paraguay.
palsy, the sexiest of the palsies.
Oh, wow, Paraguay.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Hello, Paraguay.
That is cool. We
Oh.
have an international women serial killer. Would also
Woman
be
serial
interesting.
killer would be interesting.
Because you could talk
Ooh.
about Eileen Wuornos, who's probably the most famous woman serial killer.
What Bill Gunness, who was probably
Yeah.
violent.
I didn't
Yeah.
know about her. Tell me about her. I'm like Googling her now.
Eileen Wuornos?
Yeah.
There's a great movie about her.
Yes.
Spooky. Also from
Yeah.
Michigan, another Michigander.
Nothing good comes out of Michigan.
Now,
Except your kids, yeah.
hi, thank you.
Murders took place in Florida.
Yep.
Murders, okay.
It's very Floridian, so you know. I mean,
It is, yeah.
Well, her whole story kind of is absolutely.
Oh, it's gonna be like Florida woman. It's gonna be like a big
Kinda.
Florida woman story.
Was that the one from Monster?
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh.
That's
Yeah.
right. We did watch that one.
It's the,
Yup.
it's the quintessential Florida woman story.
Hmm.
Okay, so what do you think? Should we do Eileen Wuornos? I hadn't even heard of her, so this could be interesting.
You know what? So we can
Or
start.
Dean
I
first.
feel like we need to start like setting up a calendar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a calendar
we could
of
do that.
murder. Yeah.
I think
like it.
Wuornos can absolutely be next.
Okay.
Because that is a little further outside what we've been doing, and then
Yeah.
definitely flip over to Geen, and then just go from there. So yeah, we'll work on an actual calendar, and we can start like setting people up.
That sounds
for-
good because some
Guys.
Sundays I will be unavailable because I gotta go pick up my children from the U.S. My ex-husband. Every
Good
other
time.
weekend, yeah, I do a lot of driving.
Also, did we actually have 17 viewers this time?
Yeah, I know. I actually
Wow.
promoted it this time. Hi, everybody!
Guys, this is awesome.
Great.
Yay!
Gaining
And we hopefully have some good audio this time too, so that somebody who can edit videos can edit clips and stuff. I don't know.
Good question. How far from the border are you?
I am super close to the border. I'm like 45 minutes from the border.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I asked you that before, but I forgot your answer, so I'll just...
Yeah, I gotta drive, like, the whole trip takes me like 5 hours down and back because I gotta like drive to Burlington, Washington, which is like, it was the halfway point when we first got divorced, and now he moved closer, but I don't want to like go to court and like fight to move the place, so yeah.
Fair.
No more fightings. Court's expensive.
Right. Oh yeah.
Lawyers are
Dude, I
so
can take it.
expensive. Oh, it was such an expensive
crap.
divorce. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Nobody needs that in their life.
Oh.
Nah.
No
I guess-
kidding.
Congratulations, you're on the
Right. It worked out.
Yeah. I'm really glad I was able to move back to Canada because that was like a huge sticking point in the divorce and made it take way too long, and it was like a huge hassle.
Yes.
But now I'm
So you're in
here.
Toronto?
Yeah, I'm in Vancouver area. Yeah.
Oh, Vancouver. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, not long at all to Washington.
Not long at all. Just pop across the border every other weekend
Nice.
on Fridays and
Yeah,
Sundays.
for some reason, I was thinking you were in Toronto. I don't know why.
No, I think that was Dr. Landau, who was in our group before. She's
yeah.
from Toronto.
She's
Yeah.
Toronto, yeah.
Yep. Lot of us live in Ontario, and the rest of us live near Vancouver.
The two poker flag cities, either in Vancouver or you're in Toronto, and then
Exactly.
there's like 2 people in Calgary, but that's it.
Except for Playground, Montreal is also a really cool
Yeah.
poker place. I haven't been there
Well-
yet, but I totally want to go.
Well, I owe Tony a trip to Vancouver, so we'll come out and visit.
Oh, that'd be awesome! Yes, it's a wonderful
Absolutely.
place to visit. It's like really great
I get a
tourism.
passport so I can get all that, because I have like a day's drive or so. Not that far.
Yeah, I have to
Done.
take her to Richmond for the good Chinese food.
Yes, there's so much good Chinese food all over the place. Like there's an amazing place near me. Oh man, you're just gonna go like that? Fine, let's go. I've got this huge.
You know what? Because we're reaching the end. Let's get in there. Let's make it.
Get it in there.
I already
go.
folded, so yeah.
Brutal!
Oh, my queen would have won.
Look at my run
How
good.
about
It's
that? My queen's
ridiculous. I'm like using up all the run good that I should be using with real money.
Ugh.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, 'cause
Anyway,
I
thanks.
I need to actually get a passport, but
Yes.
Vancouver is on my near-term vacation list, because
Hi, Wheelie for Aces from Ottawa. Yeah, I definitely. Y'all gotta come have a trip up here because it's really awesome. It's like an amazing tourist trap. Vancouver is. There's so much cool stuff to
do
see.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Super amazing, and the food is phenomenal. Phenomenal here.
Internet's good right now, for the record, if anyone cares.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see everybody next week.
All right, I will be here.
All right. Be good. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
All right, bye.